Hi guys, I'm back with another tutorial. In this one we're just going to look at making the animations a little less clunky, making things smoother and just generally run better. There's something that I forgot to show you in the last video. So when I click play, the character doesn't do the punching animation when she's next to me. And the reason why is because the current radius is set to 5 centimeters, which isn't a lot, and she hasn't actually met that radius because I'm standing in the way of it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to head over to our behavior tree. And we're going to click the move to location, and up here it says acceptable radius. It's currently set to 5 centimeters. We're just going to change that so it's maybe a meter, just so that when she comes to us she starts punching straight away because she is within the specified distance. So that looks a lot better now. Like I said in the last video, what we're going to do, we're actually going to get rid of this. We're going to do it a different way, and we're going to do it with tasks. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our blueprint character and we're going to add a new variable. And this variable I'm going to be calling is punching ? It's going to be a boolean because it's a yes or no. Whether she is punching, it's true, or whether she's not, then it's going to be false. So going over to our behavior tree, we're going to make a new task. We're just going to use a blueprint base, and I'm going to call it BT task is punching. And in here, we're going to start with event receive event receive execute AI. We're going to do what we did before. We're going to get actor of class, and that class is going to be our blueprint character zombie class, BPC_zombie. And then from here, we're going to grab a reference to that variable we just made. So we're going to set it. We're not going to get it. We're going to set it. Put that in there, and we're going to set that to true. And then we're going to finish execute. Take that as a success. So basically what this is saying, that with this task, when the task goes, it's just going to set the variable to true, and then it's going to finish the task. Okay, so now we've done that, we can go back onto our behavior tree, and we can make a new task, and we're going to use that one we just made as a base. And then we're going to call it is not punching. And in here we're going to do the exact same thing. So event receive execute. You know what, we can just copy. I'm going to be lazy, I'm going to copy and paste this, and then all we need to do is take that boolean off and then compile that. So currently we have two tasks. We've got one that sets the variable to true, one that sets it to false. So we're going to go back into our behavior tree and we're just going to add those in. Okay, so we've got is punching and is not punching. So what's going to happen is the enemy is going to get the player's location, it's going to move to that location, it's going to set punching to true, and then it's going to set it to not true and then wait. Now with this, there's no delay in between them, so it's going to set it to true, and then immediately the next tick it's going to set it to false. So what we need to do is find the length of our punching animation, and we're going to make it wait that time, so it's got time to actually play the animation itself. I'm going to go onto the content drawer, and I'm just going to find the animation that I need, which is zombie punching, and I can see on here that the sequence length is 3.83 seconds. Okay, so going back to the behavior tree, I'm just going to add a wait in here. 3.83 before it turns the variable to false. Now nothing's going to happen at the moment because we haven't assigned any animations within our animation blueprint. So I'm going to go over to our animation blueprint now, and the first thing that we need to do in here is set a variable based on the boolean that we created. So we've already got a cast here. We can drag out from that cast and we can get a reference to is punching, and then from there we're going to come out and create a branch, that in there, and then we're going to make a new variable, new boolean variable, and I'm just going to call it punch anim ? And I'm just going to plug one in true, plug one in false, I'm going to set it to true if it's true and set it to false if it's false. So essentially what it's checking for is if is punching is true. So if the task sets this to true, then it's going to, if it is true, then it's going to set it to true on here, and if not, it's going to set it to false on here, which we're then going to use to add to our state machine. So coming out from idle, we're going to add a state. We're going to call it punching. We want it to go between crawl both ways and idle both ways as well. And then we'll set up the transitions for it. Double click, make sure you add your animation into the state, and from here now we can set up our transitions. Okay, so what we need to do first is go into our idle to our punching, and we want to add an AND boolean because we're having more than one boolean that it needs to check for. So the first thing that we need to do is get a reference to our speed, and then like we've done before, we're going to do speed is less than 5 because it's in the idle state. So if it's less than 5 and if the punch anim is set to true, then it can enter the transition. I'm just going to copy that because I'm being very lazy, and I'm going to import it into the one going back. Oops, don't want to do that. I want to add an AND boolean. Right in there. So this one we're going punching to idle. So we still need the speed to be less than 5, but this time it can only go if it's a not boolean, so if it's not true. And I'm going to copy and paste all that again, because now we need to set up our transitions for our crawl and our punching. So from crawl to punching, we're going to set up a transition here. We don't need the not on this one because we want it to be true, and we want it to be greater or equal to 5. We can compile that, copy that because we're lazy. Plug that in there, and all we need to do now is add a not boolean. Oops. And plug it in there. So all our transitions are set up now. You shouldn't have any errors when you compile. We've got our animation in, so that is all good. Let's see what happens if we press play. Let's just get our behaviour tree up so we can see what's happening at the same time. Okay, so the character is punching, waiting that time, and then comes to follow me again, punches again, waits that time. Okay, so you see how she slid there? Her crawling animation was sliding. That's because on our animation blueprint, it's actually set to not loop, which is really frustrating. It never used to do this to me, but suddenly it started to do it. So I have to manually click on that and click loop animation. So I need to do that with all of my animations. I don't think I need to do it to punching though. I think punching is fine as it is. In fact, I think I do need to do it to punching because otherwise she's not going to be able to continuously punch if I don't move. So I am actually going to set punching to loop as well. Compile that. Make sure that works. Yep, she's looping it over and over again. Okay, so that is all working now. One thing that I will mention as well is that the reason why it looks a lot more smoother is because on the animation blueprint, between our transitions, if we click on one of those, it's got a blend setting on here, and the duration is 0.2. So if I take all those transitions down and put them as 0, so there's no time in between the animation blends, then you can see what happens to the animations. They get really clunky. They don't blend at all. They just jump about. So if I move, not move far enough. There we are. So you can see how quickly she's like standing up and moving about into different positions. So that's what that blend setting does. So if I was to change those back all up to 0.2 or 0.3, they'd blend together a lot smoother. So that's it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I might look at making it so she can actually harm you, and then we'll look at something called decorators later on as well.